Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome back to the low tier where the fun is. We have a double dose of Dave today with the Crusader and then some 4-7 Soviets, both very fun choices in the game of War Thunder. The Crusader, a light tank that started life being reasonably powerful with great mobility and a good gun, and has only benefited over time. Power creep is something that you don't really experience too badly at this level of the game, and the Crusader, with its semi-stabilized gun, fantastic fire rate, good armor penetration qualities, low profile, high mobility, and good angles of fire, I guess. You got incredible amounts of gun depression available on the thing. Along with, for a light tank, reasonable survivability, although no armor tends to be best armor at this tier. You do have some crazy angles and some double layer side armor in some places. Obvious British weak spots are obvious, and it seems like War Thunder will never allow a British vehicle to have a well-defended driver's port, for the most part. But you make do with the dough you got, and what MetaDave does well is the CAS gameplay, or at least the combined arms gameplay. Early model, what is this? Tempest? I want to say Tempest. If it's a Hurricane or something, just understand that I suck at British fighter identification. It's not a Spitfire, is it? Anyway, this is a fantastic aircraft with incredible speed, as you can see, both in a dive and in straight line. Not horrible energy retention, and much better turn rate than similar performing aircraft in the American tree. This British boom and zoom has a lot of things going for it. It's kind of surprising that it's not more popular than it is. On the downside, in mixed battles, you do have limited ordnance for ground strike in the form of that single bomb drop, and your rifle caliber machine guns are not going to be destroying anything but the most lightly protected of vehicles. And yet you have a somewhat decent capability to take down other aircraft. Again, even airplanes at this tier can sometimes tank a lot more hits from your armament than you would like, but you certainly have many advantages in bringing those arms to bear, and that's something that MetaDave is going to accomplish here with style, flair, panache, and a decidedly British performance. Low tier Brits up to about BR4 or 5 are a lot of fun. Getting jumped by a Bf-109, not quite so fun, as the enemy German energy fighter goes into the vertical where his performance is already fantastic. Having put some telling hits into the airframe of MetaDave's aircraft. I see you've got an Italian flag on the tail there, Dave. Are you a pasta boy? I wonder about that. I think I've seen you doing well in another Italian aircraft. Or, no, that's somebody else. That's a video for another time. In any event, Dave now in the busy skies of War Thunder as ally and enemy clash. MetaDave so far managing to survive after getting jumped by that German fighter. Always difficult to take down a Bf-109 in a one-on-one if they play their cards right, and yet not in a one-on-one at this point, getting much needed backup at just the right time. And a very cheeky rolling attack there, a dangerous maneuver so close to the ground, and lining up the widely spaced machine guns to tear their way through the wing of the Bf-109. It might take a while. They might need some convincing, but if you can directly hit a rivet, you can sometimes manage to get it to pop out using the Vickers machine guns. Anyway, they're not absolute trash, but sometimes they feel that way. In any event, Dave just enjoying the skies of War Thunder at this point, and it really brings me into my happy place when I play combined battles. I've been playing a lot of Swedish aircraft lately, up to rank 4 with the A21, what's it, A3? Something like that. It has wingtip fuel tanks, the same performance as the A1, and 12.7s instead of 13.2 machine guns, which seems to make a fairly big difference, but not in the right direction. Sitting at a higher battle rating, it doesn't seem to perform any better outside of mixed battles, so I'm really looking forward to Swedish ground forces coming to the game, or if I manage to get a good price for Merkava on the market, and I am willing to wait, then maybe I'll just pick up the wedge tank, the S-tank as it were, and yet in a stanky position himself, MetaDave, avoiding in his own way a head-on with whatever the heck that is. I need to make my monitor a little bit bigger here. Hold on. I'm in my editing software, you see. Is that a BF-110? I can't quite tell, but smoking from is that both engines, a lot of questions here. I can't quite see as well as I'd like to. And you know, I used to worry about that a lot more. I used to get really stressed out about the fact that I just couldn't see as much as I wanted to see in War Thunder. I couldn't make out details very well. It's difficult to tell what's a vehicle and what's a tank or a rock, or even worse, a scenery vehicle at long range. Ooh, as that enemy SPAA proves he's more than just scenery, blowing off in one quick pass. The Italian flagified tail of MetaDave's aircraft. Dave with 7 ground kills and 2 air kills has plenty of opportunity to jump into Crusader once again and do his thing, and that's gonna just about wrap things up for this leg of the journey. I'm not entirely convinced all of this video made it into the recording, and that's due to issues that I had with my recording software, but fear not, there's enough Dave for everyone. A second helping coming up, and I'm sure you'll be satisfied with that. Once again, showing off the mobility of the Crusader. It really is a delightful low-rank tank and a lot of fun. On top of that, with a smoke dispenser that gets a practically unlimited amount of smoke grenades, Dave, as he attempts to clutch the match here, is in the best possible position that he could be, and yet he's surrounded by enemies. You can see he has 4 allied tanks trying to back him up, but now with his transmission taken down, there's nowhere for him to run as the enemy tank starts to pump round after round into his helpless body. Ouch. So that's gonna wrap things up for MetaDave in this match. I also completely lost my train of thought, so let's move on into the next one. Now in the T-34-57, if I'm not mistaken, this would be the model that appears in the regular tech tree with the earlier style T-34 turret, and a nice start to any match, tracking his way, tractoring his way, if you use the Russian terminology, through generic Eastern European village. MetaDave is going to show us the power of 4.7 USSR. It's a lovely lineup. I, as you know, am a huge fan of golden premiums, and there is a wide selection available at and around the 4.7 battle rating in both land and air for the Soviets, and they're all either extremely fun or very effective, or both. And the premium T-34-57 is just such a vehicle. Yet we find MetaDave with the Italian flag on his turret and bouncing a shot. Il Duce would be proud. Getting a nice return fire into the Chiha. I think that was a Chiha. Is it Chinu? And getting on out of there. Not a bad decision. Looked like he might have been outnumbered there. Now, KV-1B756R or something like that. I think they changed the name of it again, but it is what it is, and it is no more. Oh, excuse me. My dead legs. And I think the KV-1B sits at a 4.7 now as well. The 756 premium for the Germans. Speaking of German premium, not itself a premium vehicle, but the Panzer IV F2, always popular. Also a one-shot, and finishing off the Chinu 2 in quick succession. The fantastic velocity, armor penetration qualities, and reload rate of the 57mm cannon shown off nicely by the T-34 in the hands of MetaDave, taking down another Panzer IV and taking on an Italian tank destroyer. This guy ends up being a little bit more tanky as a tank destroyer than some of the other vehicles that MetaDave faced, and it really has a lot to do with the spaced out fighting compartments. It really helps in War Thunder in terms of survivability, as he takes down the breach with machine gun. Very nice. It really helps with survivability to have the engine compartment in front of the crew. Looking at vehicles like Merkava, that's shown even at the higher tiers in War Thunder. And while that can also prove true in real life, it can also present some issues. Now, respawning in, what is this? I want to say a Yak 9. It's got that good 37mm derp gun. Oh, so beautiful. Looks like he's firing AP, but having no issues taking down enemy aircraft. And if he decides to perforate a ground vehicle, well then by golly, he can perforate a ground vehicle. But with already 8 kills, picking up 2 quick air kills. And of course I cut forward a little bit there just to make this video not quite so long, although I suspect we're going to go upwards of around 20 minutes. I mean, I could look, but then I'd lose my place here, wouldn't I? That's a good time to mention, I like to record all of this audio in one take. Looks like MetaDave's going to need to take out another vehicle here. It's rather rare for a Yak to survive a hit to its wing fuel tank, and now with 2 fuel fires going, I'd say he's well and truly buggered. But I'd like to record all of my audio in one take. It makes it a lot easier to balance and filter my audio. I run a filter to reduce background noise, and then usually I just, what's it called? I forget what it's called, but anyway, I don't do a lot, but it does save me a lot of time. And also, it's sort of become my style. I always open with a really simple way, no intro cinematic or anything like that. I have nothing against that, but I've sort of developed this style of just being very casual. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Nice to see you. Odds are you're someone that's watched my videos before. And even so, if you haven't connected with me on the Discord, there's a group of us there, and this whole YouTube and Discord and War Thunder deal that I do is sort of my entire social life, so you're welcome to join me. I'm a nice guy, and I already like you, so come hang out. Anyway, MetaDave now not being such a nice guy to this JU-87, and of course, because this is a replay, the aim lags a little bit behind what it was in the actual match, so these rounds are coming incredibly close to the German attacker, or the German dive bomber. A few, like 3 or 4 now, of the 37mm rounds. I'm not sure if they passed through the Stuka or if they were just sparkles that did nothing, but he finishes him off with the 12-7. A fantastic machine gun. There's nothing wrong with the armament on the Yaks and the Lags and Soviet fighters in general, except that their 20mm high explosive rounds are kind of trash. But that's okay. Use the AP. It rips. It sets things on fire. It even kills ground vehicles. The only downside is all of their guns seem to have not enough ammunition, and that just comes down to Soviet doctrine, where aircraft were not expected to engage in prolonged dogfights all by themselves, which is a reasonable thing to hope for. And of course, it helped ever so slightly with the performance of an aircraft to not carry more ammunition than was absolutely necessary. If it was up to War Thunder players, things would have been different. There's never such thing as too much ammunition for your guns in a fighter or any other kind of aircraft, and how we would all love to see more opportunity for that high velocity, high fire rate, heavy damage, armor-piercing, spewing 37mm cannon mounted through the engine of the Lags and Yaks to get a little bit more mileage. Speaking of both mileage and spray and pray, it looks like we have an F4U coming in, the Corsair, to try and take a bite out of MetaDave, and yet his tail is not free of whatever the heck that was as well, with 4 air kills and 6 ground kills and 2 enemy aircraft dogging him. Things are looking a little bit spicy for this pasta boy as he goes low and quick to try and reposition, shake off, or at least build some separation from enemy fighters. Now surveying the battlefield once more, looking for targets or foes who are looking hungry. MetaDave has decisions to make. Unfortunately, one of the decisions he cannot make is to deploy his flaps in anything less than landing position, as the settings for flaps on certain aircraft in this game are limited, but if you pop the flaps and pop them back in quickly, you can achieve the desired effect. It's just one of those things you need to devote some attention to, making sure you don't rip those flaps, which is a fairly easy thing to do. Ground fire coming in from what looks to be a whirlwind. Always a dangerous aircraft, even if your airplane's not made out of wood and radioactive selenium fuel, as the Soviet fighters are. In other words, you cannot afford to take even one hit from a German high explosive 20mm round. Beautiful first-person view as he goes in for a ground strike, and more chug-a-chug of a whirlwind firing at him from below. I always make it a point to pay attention to where the Wurble is. It's one of, if not the most deadly AA at this battle rating, and it's certainly something that can make you pay for lack of attention. Looking at the dispersion on the 37 cannon on this airplane after the first couple of shots, if you hold down that trigger, it just starts to meme like crazy, sending rounds at impossible angles, and showing how Gaijin decided to nerf Cannon Cass, because tankers constantly complain about it, and that is to reduce the accuracy until people piss and moan slightly less. And then they'll nerf bombs or they'll nerf rockets, and you know what? That's fine. If it ends up with a more balanced playing field for everyone involved, then I can adapt to the meta, and MetaDave, living up to his name, has done just that, scoring his last ground kill by getting good and close to where the rather poor sustained accuracy of the 37 is not too much of an issue. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I love to watch your replays, so feel free to continue sending those on in, or if it's your first time, send on in. You can get a hold of me most easily through Discord. There's a link to my server in the description below, and you're invited to come hang out and meet me and my friends there. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.